Hi, it's Kamau again. Welcome back to my channel. Now, today I want to look at the, the whole notion of being a light-skinned black woman, a light-skinned sister. Now, this is just one of many, many conversations that I would like us to have about race, about color, about, on my channel we talk about everything. No topic is off limit. We're not going to argue, as I keep stressing, but we can talk, right? Now, in Jamaica, where I was born and where I do live, our motto is out of many, one people. Which of course means that, our ancestors came from several different parts of the world. The majority of the population are from African descent. Nonetheless, we have European influence, Chinese influence, Indian, and so on. So, out of many, one people, we are, as much as we would not want to, for those of us who are Black conscious, we avoid using the word mixed, but for all practical purposes, we are, right? And some of us are of a more lighter complexion than others. Now, I remember growing up, whenever we would say something that would offend the darker skinned children, they would always lash out and say, well, black is beauty and red is corruption. By that, they would mean red, they were referring to the light-skinned black person, meaning red is corruption, because you are considered mixed. Your black blood has been corrupted there. Now, this is something clearly they, as children, got from the adults around them. And to a great extent, it was just a response to the negativity that they were facing as dark-skinned children, because they faced it, right? So they were called all kind of names, which I don't want to repeat. And we, as a lighter skinned black children, were given some privileges. Now, my blackness has never been a matter of debate as far as I was concerned. I have never within myself questioned my blackness. I've never felt like I was anything but a black child, a black teenager, a black woman. The confusion always seemed to be on the outside and always seemed to be among my own people. As ironic as that sounds, my own people were confused as to what I was. Those outside of my race never seemed to be confused that I was a black child, teenager, woman. They did not have any doubt who I was. It was always my own people who were trying to get me to question myself. Why are you claiming this blackness when you can choose to be something else? They were always saying to me, you have good hair. That's what they would say, because, my hair was wavy, and the classmates would always come and they would be playing in my hair, telling me how good my hair was, and their hair, of course, was bad because it was kinky. And I was always looking on and loving their hair, wanting mine to be of a texture more like theirs, and wanting my skin to be of a complexion more like theirs. Not that I hated myself in any way. I've always adored myself, but the dark skin was just so gorgeous to me. And but they were trying to get me to question myself. And I've always looked at it and said, those of us blacks who are lighter skinned, it seemed to me like a double offense, like we were doubly wronged, because our melanin was taken. Now I know melanin is not just skin deep. Melanin is as much on the inside as out. But even just the phenotype, in the phenotype, the way we look, our melanin was taken, and I've always felt like we were doubly wronged. You know, whenever I saw Malcolm lashing out, it's like I could relate to him, and I was saying many of us lighter skinned blacks are so militant because it's like we're the offense was double fold. You know, the offense was double fold, and I always used to say, you know, to my darker skinned comrades, you know, at least you still have your hue. But lo and behold, many of them were hating that, and I took it as an offense to say, how can you not love this beautiful ebony chocolate skin of yours? How can you want to dilute it? How can you want to bleach it out? How can you want to process your hair? You know, in my opinion, how can you not adore this gorgeous skin? How, you know, why would you want to be going through surgery and all kind of things, and this self-hating? I just could never understand it to this day. Historically I understand it, psychologically I understand it, but you know, still I don't understand it. So it's like, if I don't know if you can get where I'm coming from, you know. And but it's something I've had to try to balance, especially with my children, raising them to love themselves as black children, though they're of a lighter hue. So even when I was making dolls for my daughters, I would make sure to make some with dark brown cloth, some with lighter brown cloth, because I didn't want to be shifting from one end to the next. I didn't want them to develop inferiority complexes because I was only making dark dolls. So I had to make sure that they were represented as well, because their self-esteem is important as well, right? So as their mother, making dolls for them, I had to think about that. You know, we have to have representation right across the spectrum of blackness, because we're all important, we're all beautiful, and we didn't ask for this to be done to us. And at the same time, given a choice, why would you not choose the better, in terms of the fact that the African gave civilization to the world? Why would you not choose to that? If you are given a choice, why would you not choose that aspect of yourself? Now, in Jamaica, as I said, where I live, colorism is very much alive. It used to be more, even more so, like decades ago. Persons of a lighter hue were the ones who got jobs in the banks, you know, the forefront jobs, the banks, the flight attendants, the TV anchors. If you were dark, you could not get those jobs. It has changed now somewhat, but this whole colorism is still alive, and you know, the prejudices that come with that still alive and kicking. And you know, among our, because it's the same black people, lighter skin is the same black people. When you go elsewhere, you are made to understand that you are a black person, right? So it's only among each other, the different hues, some persons try to make it have more significance than it should. It, you know, and it persists, getting less, yes, thankfully, but it persists. I remember when I was going to school, when I was, you know, 9, 10, predominantly dark skinned, right? So I kind of stood out because of my features. And then there was this one white girl. I don't know how she ended up in the school. Probably the first and only white girl ever to be in that school. And she latched on to me because I guess I was the closest thing she could see to her compared to everybody else. So we became best friends. And, I used to visit her home up in the hills. Everybody is white, and looking at their culture and so on. I've, at such a young age, being able to compare. But she latched onto me because of that. And I stood out among the others because they were always playing in my hair, always making me feel like I was special because of my lighter complexion, not knowing that, hey, this is a black girl. This is a black girl. Right. No. I remember my friend Paul Kelly, a Rastafarian. We were very close. And I remember he was giving me a ride home, and he wanted to stop by some of his other Rasta friends, right? And so I went up with him, and so all these Rasta men, all of them dark, and they were talking, and I was so militant, talking about Garvey and, Malcolm and whatever. And these men were saying to me, it's like they were saying, how dare you? How dare you even mention Garvey, because Marcus Garvey would reject you. So I was saying, why would Marcus Garvey reject me? He said, Marcus Garvey, if you were living at the time when Garvey lived, he would reject you because he was talking about black people and you are not black. And these are Rastafari men were saying this to me as a youngster, because I was still in my late teens, trying to confuse me, and there was no confusion in me. But they were adamantly saying I have no right to be claiming blackness. And there are still persons who would want to, you as a light-skinned black person affirming your blackness and saying certain things in terms of Pan-Africanism and liberation. They will want to confuse you and try to get you to say, no, you don't belong here, you don't belong in the struggle, you don't have a right to claim, you don't have a right to say. Please don't allow anybody to tell you that nonsense. Right? No, these were Rastafari. I mean, I was so shocked when they said it, but believe me, there are persons who still hold that sentiment. Now, I went through a phase where it's like I felt, I cut my hair, and I did a video about that, why I cut my hair at that time, because to me it's like I was saying, how can I look more black? That is, I just wanted to be as close to Africanness as possible. I went through a phase of cutting my hair. I wanted to look like the Nubian women that I saw, and the Maasai women, the Twa. So some light-skinned black persons will tend to do that, as it's like they want to cut off that hair that everybody is saying, oh, you have good hair. They want to either cut it or they will lock it so that the texture looks different in some way. It's not that they have the conflict within themselves, they just kind of want to quell the conflict on the outside. So I totally relate with when I see that happening. I assume it might not be the reason. It might not be the reason why everybody does it, but assume, right? I remember I was in Jacksonville last year, and an incident occurred where I was stopping over at the bus station, and I went up to the food court and I ordered, I think it was a fish burger. And I asked, how long would it take? So the person said, well, it's gonna take 5 minutes. So I was there waiting. 5 minutes gone, 15 minutes gone. So when I went back, he it's like he had totally forgotten me. He had totally forgotten me. And then I said, where's my burger? And you know, his whole attitude is like he was saying, nigga, please. I said, I forgot. And then he went and slowly started preparing it, and I just lost it because of his whole attitude that he was having towards me, having neglected me, forgotten me. And I got very upset, and I was saying to him, how dare you have this attitude, towards me? And immediately he went into the mode of saying, don't you dare raise your voice, don't you dare be upset, I'm going to call the cops on you. And immediately, it came home to me how very easy it is for blacks to get into trouble. It's like you don't have a right to be upset when you are wronged, when you are taken for granted. You don't have a right to express. Immediately you are threatened. So that it really came home to me, with all the things that occur, all the things that we go through as a race, how very easy it is, to get in trouble. And these are conversations I'd love for us to keep having. I'm totally open, sharing my experience as a black woman, particularly as a light-skinned black woman living in Jamaica, living in the Caribbean, and my experiences outside of the Caribbean. So stay tuned, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you later.